Hey everybody, I hope you guys are doing well. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Doja Cat and why Doja Cat is over party is trending on Twitter. Now, I'm familiar with Doja Cat. I remember when she came out with that song, which I thought was just trolling, but it turned into something. Bitch, I'm a cow. I honestly thought she was trolling, which she certainly could have been. But I started to notice her back then, and she's put out a few more songs that I actually think are kind of catchy. And then, of course, she went number one on her Say So remix. Now, Doja Cat has always struck me as someone who I'll say that I think she's talented. And she certainly has mass appeal. She's somebody that could certainly cross over easy. And after that number one Say So remix, people started to pay more attention to Doja. If they hadn't paid attention to her, now they're paying attention to her. But yesterday, she was trending for something that she supposedly said and she supposedly did. And these are all allegations. Okay. So she was trending yesterday and people were canceling Doja because they were accusing her of participating in racist chat rooms, saying that she does not want to be black, and for a controversial song that actually was never released called Didn't Know Nothing. I can't even say it right. Now, people put all these together, including some kind of anonymous source or post saying all of these things that Doja did. Okay. Now, I first saw this on Shade Room, which Shade Room didn't post it. I saw people down in the comments like, y'all not going to talk about Doja Cat. Y'all not going to talk about Doja Cat. Then I went over to Neighborhood Cat. Talk. Y'all not going to talk about Doja Cat. I saw the story though, the actual story, and people talking about it. The only blog that really, really picked it up was Hollywood Unlocked. And I want you to kind of stick a pin in that because that's important to this whole thing. So I went over to Twitter and I saw Doja Cat trending, and I'm looking at all these different Doja Cat, she's racist, she that. And the story goes, the allegations are that she is a part of racist chat rooms and she participates in racist chat rooms. Okay. I was looking because, before I wanted to even say something, I'm like, well, let me go find the video of her participating in a racist chat room. What makes it racist? I see a bunch of white people here. I see, a black guy. What makes it racist? Are they saying racist things? I still wasn't able to truly see where they were saying racist stuff. The only clip that I was able to pull that's technically online right now is her participating in the chat room, but I didn't hear anything bad being said. Listen. Go ahead and listen.
I just lost a cigarette.
Dude, ADD just DM'd me. Learned anything new today? And I said, yeah, I learned if you sunk a dunker, you can be anybody.
Hey, ADD, why didn't you want to know what I learned today, man? Why you have to focus in on the beautiful lady? With another comment.
I learned that we could have been anybody.
Hey, ADD, you look Arabic, are you? Oh, boy.
I learned that we could have been an F-buddy? What?
ADD, has anybody ever told you that you look Arabic?
Handle, you shut the fuck.
Now, Exhibit B, that's Exhibit A, but Exhibit B is supposedly this controversial song that was not released called Didn't Know Nothing. Now, you probably have heard that phrase being used before. These are the lyrics. You have probably heard that phrase being used by a lot of racist white folk, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, wherever. Whenever there's something dealing with a black person, a black, story being trending, whether it's police brutality or some other media that's trending some kind of story, there's always that racist person that's like, he didn't do nothing. And, it's used, it's a racist term that racists have adopted And and again, you see it all the time. And this is the definition from the Urban Dictionary of what it actually means. And like I said, many of us already know when we see it that it comes from a very racist place. And so she had a song that, again, I haven't been able to find it, just the lyrics of didn't do nothing. Okay, so people are piecing all of these things together and drawing the conclusion that Doja Cat is a racist. Okay, you saw her in the chat room. You saw the lyrics of that song. And people are also alleging, even though, again, I don't have proof because I haven't been able to find anything. All I see is people saying what she said, but I haven't seen any people say, fine. She did post this where she was using the F word against gay people. And she used a homophobic slur. And she talked about that. That was the only proof I really could find of her saying something like, I don't know, saying a slur. All right. And admitting that she said it. But other than that, I haven't seen anything. Okay. Now, the Shade Room did not post a story. I saw people wanting them to talk about it. The Neighborhood Talk, which I follow, as well as other big blogs, have not posted the story. And my guess is, post the story as far as I know, because as I'm making this, my guess is that they didn't post the story. Not because they don't want to be messy, because blogs can be messy. But my guess is that they didn't post it because they have no hard evidence of any of this being true. And to avoid, being accused or litigation, maybe they just like, let's not touch it. Now, like I said, people are piecing together Doja Cat's life. And since she's been around to kind of come up with the conclusions that this is indeed true. She has a white boyfriend. I remember when she was with the white boy. Now, he looked like he could be in some kind of alt-right group and hold torches. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that he don't. He could look like he could have been one of those dudes that was down there and said, Jews will not replace us. He do got that look. He do got that look like he be on the video games, on the little Twitch and stuff, saying the N hard ER word. That's all true. He looked like that, but that don't mean that he does or he did, and that don't mean that people should cancel her based on something that we don't know is true. All I have been able to find from all these people talking about Doja Cat is the didn't knew nothing lyrics. I have yet to see people talking about she said something about Sandra Bland. I ain't seen it. I'm not saying she didn't, but I don't have proof that she did. So I'm not going to say that she did. I see people canceling this girl, talking about, well, how dare she talk about Sandra Bland? I ain't seen it. I've seen people say, well, she talking about she don't like to be black. I haven't seen it. I have combed Twitter, up and down Twitter, trying to find the video with her in the chat room with somebody saying the ER and she just sitting there laughing or saying she don't like being black. I ain't seen it. All I see is people talking about she did it, but nobody's posting proof and the receipts that she did. Now, is that did do nothing problematic? It is extremely problematic because we know where it comes from and we know how it's used. Now, do I think that Doja Cat could certainly have those tendencies and that in her? I do. Anything is possible. I certainly do. But I just, again, don't have proof that there's no solid proof of it. That's it. And the reason why I'm saying that it's possible that she could, in fact, have or held those kind of ideas and everything, despite the fact that she has a South African father. Her father is black, South African. But she has no proximity to a father. I don't believe she even met her father. Right? She was raised by a white mother. She grew up in a white neighborhood. So she knows whiteness. She comes from whiteness and probably has those ideas embedded in her through her whiteness. She looks at her world is through a white lens. And only recently did she get any kind of proximity to blackness through hip hop. Right? She came out of nowhere. I've never once heard Doja say she was black. I feel like that was assigned to her by black people. And so when people are probably more inclined to be upset about it because it's like, oh my God, how could this black woman have those ideas? Well, when did she ever say she was black? When did she ever assign herself blackness? Why are you surprised that this might, in fact, be something and there may be some truth to it? Why? I'm not surprised. But again, I'm walking a thin line here because we still don't have proof. We just don't. We can just go by hearsay, but we don't have any proof. So I'm just going to say that just based on some of the stuff, it is possible that it could certainly be true. Okay. But I don't like the fact that people are trying to defame her. And the reason why I feel like people are attempting to defame her is not because so much she said any of this, because if you look, this did do nothing stuff has been out. So all of a sudden outrage is kind of interesting. But I personally feel like whoever started this, you have to think about the origin of it and why they're so upset with Doja. Now you have to remember, she just had a #1 with Nicki Minaj. And I find it interesting. Like I said, Shade Room didn't post this story. They didn't run with it. Neighborhood Talk didn't run with it. Other blogs, huge blogs, didn't run with it. But Hollywood Unlocked did. And Hollywood Unlocked, run by Jason Lee, who is super, super good friends with Cardi B and hates the hell out of Nicki Minaj. I'm not surprised that he ran it. And the way he ran it, he was running it with like a lot of the tweets that were trending. But the only proof that he had was, like I said, it didn't show anything. It just showed her in a chat room. It showed what some anonymous person said about her. And then if you look in the comments, you see people running with it like, oh my gosh, she's canceled. She's canceled. She said that about Sandra Bland. I'm like, she said what about Sandra Bland? I ain't seen what she said about Sandra Bland. I have combed the Twitters. I have combed the internets and I still don't see what she said about Sandra Bland. So this is how shit gets started, when somebody takes something and run with it. And you have to remember the source. You have to remember why some person may be doing this. She said that she was going to show her boobs if she went to #1. She didn't show her boobs. Maybe somebody pissed off that she didn't show her titties. I don't know. But I find it interesting that Jason Lee ran with it on his Hollywood Unlocked blog, and no other big blogs did. I just find, and that makes me think that this is targeted. That makes me think that this is biased, that they want to cancel her. Now, again, I am not making excuses for anything she has said or she may have said. Okay, people can evolve. But think about it like this. I find it interesting that Doja Cat is canceled, but at the same time, Jason Lee didn't attempt to cancel Cardi B. He loved Cardi B, but he didn't attempt to like push that when the whole thing was trending about her drugging and robbing men and her calling black women roaches and calling the dead baby a monkey. He didn't post all that stuff. He didn't, because remember, he has a bias. So all of a sudden, now Doja Cat is a really bad person. I'm just saying, you got to remember, cancel culture doesn't exist. It just doesn't work. People aren't going to cancel Cardi. And she said a lot of problematic shit. She wished a black man's mama AIDS. She wasn't canceled. And she doubled down on what she said. Doja Cat not going to be canceled. She just not. But this is what happens when we allow people to have proximity to blackness. Doja Cat is a prime example of a person who comes up off of their proximity to blackness. Cardi B is another one. And I don't give a damn what y'all come on here and say. Don't come on here with this bullshit talking about Cardi B is black. Cardi B ain't black. Cardi B ain't got a black mama or black daddy. As far as I'm concerned, in order to be black, you have to have 2 black parents. Cardi B ain't black. She has some black ancestry way down deep. And Doja Cat is biracial. Neither one are black women. Neither. Their proximity to blackness is what got them money. That's why they're hot. That's why they're popular, because they can use their proximity to blackness to come up off of it, but they have anti-black sentiment. Think about that. I have, again, never heard Doja Cat say she was black. And that's why people have got to stop assigning blackness to people that are biracial. There is nothing wrong with being biracial. Nobody should have to deny a parent just to say that they're black. They may be more into maybe the black experience because they may have been raised, if they are raised in the black community, they may identify with blackness more than their whiteness. But Doja Cat obviously identifies with whiteness because she wasn't raised by a black father. She wasn't. He was nowhere to be found. He was not in her life. You can find the videos of her saying that. She don't even know this guy really, right? But people allowed her in. Why? Because of the aesthetic. Let's be honest about that. Because of her aesthetic, this is what happens a lot. Assigning blackness to biracial people. People always say that President Obama is the first black president, and I beg to differ. I have an affinity for President Obama, always will, but he's not our first black president because he's biracial, who was raised by two white people from Kansas and that lived in Hawaii. He could certainly identify with the black experience because he made a conscious decision to immerse himself in black culture. But I would beg to argue with you that he's biracial, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with being biracial, nothing. But you have to remember that every biracial child has a different experience. And I'm guessing that Doja Cat, growing up in a white community with a white mother, heard more than a lot of times all this racist white shit that folks say when they behind closed doors, and she participates in it more than likely. And the fact that she was in one of those chat rooms, even though again I ain't heard no substantial proof saying that she said anything bad about Sandra Bland or somebody saying the ER in front of her. I ain't seen it, don't mean it didn't happen, but that she probably didn't flinch. She probably didn't flinch. But people allow her into this hip hop space. They allow Cardi B into this hip hop space. And they've made money off of being close to blackness. And now people are upset because their world is being blown up because something may be true about this very thing. Something might, a little teeny tiny bit of it actually might be true. And now their whole world is blown because they're like, but she's black. No, she's not. She's not. I never heard her say she was. So you should be mad at yourself for assigning something to someone who didn't ask for it. She ain't never asked to be black. You just decide when they say the four black women at the top of the charts, Billboard. I'm like, it's 3 of them I know, but I don't know about 4. But anyway, this is all hearsay at this point because I still don't see substantiated proof. I don't see solid proof or receipts that she in fact said any of this. The did do nothing is problematic, but that's all I could find. And the fact that she was in the chat room, but I still didn't hear anything to say that this woman is a complete racist, except for